New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Briz and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Rev Briz over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit. That means it's a Friday morning and it's 7 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone. Might be way early where you are, might be a little later, but wherever you are, we want to thank you for joining us here on the program. If you're watching live, feel free to chat along, drop a comment as we go. If you're watching at another time on a rebroadcast, feel free to drop a comment and we'll see you sooner or later. So thanks for being with us. Morning, Z. How you doing, my brother?
Oh, doing well. Had a little early rain here this morning in Colorado, and at least where we are in Colorado, and that was nice and refreshing.
Yes.
And gave a nice, clean, crisp start to the day.
Exactly. And then we'll see what it's going to do. I have a deck project happening at our house, and it's supposed to start sometime between 8 and 9 o'clock this morning, which means I had all kinds of stuff to get out from underneath the deck yesterday. And of course, the time I had scheduled for it, it rained like crazy up here. And so we were like scrambling to get work done last night. But
Yes.
It makes for a good Friday. So, hey, speaking of good Fridays, what a great lead-in. I didn't even plan that. Big story of the week. The state of Louisiana has passed a law that every public classroom, I have to figure out how this works for charter schools, but every public classroom has to display a copy of the 10 Commandments.
Poster size.
All right. I guess we'll have to figure out what poster size is. But it got me thinking, what if you're running a Muslim school?
Yeah.
What if you're running a daycare that is based on Hinduism? Interesting something going on there.
And the interesting thing is, when you bring that up from an Islamic perspective, Moses is a revered prophet. So the 10 Commandments in an Islamic school may not raise that much fodder, if you will, just from the commandments itself. But the way they're being dictated to display them might ruffle some feathers, because they'll say, well, if this is that, then what's next?
Right. So they wouldn't have a problem theologically, but might have a problem with, you can't tell me, freedom of speech, you can't tell me what to put on my wall.
Administratively.
I'm wondering how long it's going to take for students to vandalize these posters. And then I'm wondering, who in the world's going to police this?
Mm-hmm.
How much money are school districts going to have to spend every time some kid rips one of these off the wall, or vandalizes it, or defaces it in some way? How much is the state of Louisiana going to have to spend to try to implement this and then maintain it.
Yeah. And you know, and of course, you know, what's going to happen, right? They're going to put cameras right where they have those posters, and then they're going to start charging a 13-year-old or, you know, whatever, with vandalism and destruction of state property, you know, that, to make a point, unfortunately. And I mean, it's forcing an idea on a group of, especially at the younger ages, on a group of people who don't have any concepts of what they're being forced fed, if you will.
Yeah. This is one of those moves to me. This is like that direct, okay, we're going back to the 1950s where no kid would dare vandalize a school poster, where you just, you know, you could put it up and it be revered. That, you know, back when every schoolroom had a picture of the Pope or the president or whatever, and it just feels like it is a blatant disregard for the times we live in and for the people that are living in the world today.
You know, I remember in school when we had to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day.
I remember that.
And I don't know when we stopped. Excuse me. I don't know when we stopped, but I'll have to try to think about at what grade, excuse me, did we stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I don't remember. I got to think about that. They would play it over the loudspeaker.
My high school would stand up. Yeah, my high school did it all the way till I was out. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to remember, because I don't remember saying it in high school. Although it may have been, I don't remember it. Yeah, but I mean, I guess the thing is, like we talked earlier before the show started about the abortion rules and laws and how many states. Now, I'm waiting to see how many other states follow suit, because that's what happened with most of these state legislative moves on abortion. 1 or 2 states started, and they took that bill as their way to get it in their states, and then now you see it across what we were talking, 26 states or 27 states or something like that.
Yep. Real quick before we run off of this, Linda was wondering, was the funding for the displays included in the bill? Good morning, Linda. Good to see you, dear one. Glad you're with us. And that was one of my concerns. There is, I don't know for sure. I don't have an actual answer to your question. But my concern is, and most likely schools are going to have to fund this. I don't see them raising taxes to do this. I don't see them implementing a tax on something. Although there you go. Let's put a 2% tax on Bible sales in the state of Louisiana and see how well that does. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's fund this thing by putting a tax on Bible sales, and let's see how it does. And let's see if there's enough people buying Bibles to support putting your doctrine in my kid's schoolroom. if there's enough there to push your agenda. Oh, Linda, I think you helped me find a good one here.
Well, you know, that's interesting, because, you know, all of the reviews, peer reviews and everything else, the Pew, I'm saying it sounds like one word, but it's another. The research group, they show over the last 3 to 5 years, if not more, that people claiming a specific religion of any kind is declining, right? And we already know that attendance at churches, mosques, synagogues have declined somewhat. And so, you know, I don't know if this is a ploy to try to get, I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's going to work.
Right. I have a feeling this is something that's going to end eventually. Just that didn't work. We tried, but you may see more and more other. If it catches on and it catches on with other states and other states decide to do it, the tricky part is we're gonna make kids recite the 10 Commandments. Are teachers just going to be able to point to them? Are teachers going to be able to say, "You see that poster over there? Don't pay no mind to that shit."
Well, and that's going to be the thing. I mean, okay, you put them up, kids are not going to even pay attention to them.
Right.
So it's going to be a waste of money, and the kids who already are familiar with those commandments from home, they may look at them, but because traditionally now, where kids will be going to Sunday school or church, traditionally now they are playing soccer or on an AAU baseball team, so them and their parents are either traveling to the field or grabbing a quick lunch before the next game or whatever. So most kids, I don't know if they'll even be familiar with Moses and the 10 Commandments.
Probably not. All right, let's keep going. You mentioned it, and we both wanted to talk about this. We're 2 years out now from the repeal of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court, or the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court. We now have 14 states where abortion is illegal completely, all stages, at any point. We have a handful, 3 states where it's set between 6 to 8 weeks, a couple of states where it's at 12 weeks, and then the majority of the states are 24 weeks or later. There is a small portion, about half a dozen states where they lowered it from 24 weeks to 15 to 22 weeks. So no matter where you go in our nation, there is some restriction on when a woman can have an abortion. I look at these states with up to 6 to 8 weeks, and it's like, how many women actually know they're pregnant at 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 weeks? They may have a thought, may have an idea, but may also still be in that, I don't know, and don't know what decision I want to make.
Yeah.
It's the landscape's changing, and unfortunately, we're seeing, if you look at the map I'm looking at, there's a pretty hefty division of where all this is happening. And if you start in Texas, it moves up into the east a little bit through a number of conservative states and southern states. You don't see it as much on the coasts. We're not seeing it in as much in Middle America, although the Dakotas are both completely no abortion at this point. Is this the future, the truth? Are we moving? Is American culture moving back to a more conservative perspective when it comes to women's rights? Let's not say conservative. Let's say restrictive, oppressive.
Yes.
So there we go. Let's look at it from that perspective. Are we moving? Is the pendulum moving towards a more oppressive society for women in America?
Yeah. Moving back to that time when women were looked still, it wasn't stated as such, but they were still looked upon as property of the husbands, where the husbands dictated what their wives could do.
Right.
And for all the progress we've made technologically and industrially and all those things, the idea of repressing human rights seems to threaten the whole society, in terms of continued progress and the upliftment of humanity.
I saw a meme this week, and it was a husband and a wife in a pickup truck, and they've got like an AR-15 and assault rifle hanging in the window behind him, and there's a cop walking up to the truck, and the woman's line is, "Don't worry, honey, I hid the birth control in the gun."
That is a great one. I just want to say.
Like, yeah, right. And America, and it's just, I don't know. Perhaps I was naive, Z. I didn't think the MAGA universe had that much sway to create this kind of oppressive movement towards women. And let's be real, if these states are doing this to women, I don't know. I don't want to know what they got up their sleeve when it comes to blacks, to brown, to anyone of color, to anyone of any choice other than heterosexual, right? Anyone in the LGBTQIA community. If these states think they can do this to women, oh my gosh, what do they think they can do otherwise?
Yeah. Which kind of, for me, tickles that other story we were talking about. And you have more of the details, but I'll just throw it out there where there's a lawsuit going on against American Airlines where 3 black men were taken off of a plane because one of the flight attendants said that one of them had a body odor. These 3 people didn't know each other.
It was a white male
Yes.
Attendant. So
yeah.
I want to make that known because it's a white guy saying, and they couldn't pinpoint who or who had the odor, where this body odor was coming from. So they threw, and it was actually more than 3. I think the article said it was more like a half a dozen. There were just only 3 of the men that signed on to the lawsuit.
Okay.
But there were other men there were other black men. So it was like, oh, I smell something. You, and you. So, like,
and someone recorded it. I understand. I think they had at least recorded some of it, right?
There was an altercation between the men and some of the employees on the jetway after they had left the plane. We haven't been able to find that video yet, and there was the report we saw on Associated Press said that there was video of this altercation where it appears the employee admits that this looks like racial discrimination. He didn't come right out and say it. He just says, well, yeah, it kind of does look that way, is my impression of what really happened. So, but.
And I want to know, did he go and smell somebody's underarm to kind of solidify it? Yeah, you're the one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what stinks about it. Oh, sorry about that pun. I didn't mean that one, I promise. That's what's really, let's give American Airlines and their CEO a little bit of props here because they don't tell us in the report, but a number of people have been indefinitely suspended because of this incident, and he has made a public apology around this incident. But here's my thought on all of it. It's the bad apple theory. I might not be a racist, but if you are, and I don't know it, and you push an agenda in today's world, it's really easy for someone to go along to get along rather than stand up to a colleague, a coworker. We don't know if this was a big man or a smaller man. We don't know if this was a guy that had a reputation of bullying people at work. We don't know any of the details of any of that. But sometimes it's easier to go along and than to say, no, man, that's being racist, and I'm not going to let you do this.
Right.
But other employees on that plane and other employees in that company absolutely hold some culpability here in this regard. It's I can't imagine what it would feel like to be singled out going, it ain't me, man. I shot, like, I'm good. It ain't, what the hell you throwing me off for? And as a black man, you got to kind of keep your mouth shut and take it more often than not, because if not, they might just shoot your ass.
Yeah. And here, we had Juneteenth a couple of days ago, and I still hear some grumbling about the holiday and why we do this, and it's a federal, why we make this a federal holiday and all of that. Here is a prime example of why this idea of freedom and the atrocities that led up to that freedom need to be continually raised, because it's still going on hundreds of years, well, not hundreds, well, yeah, I guess it is hundreds of years later. And to think that my question is, did they ever question any of the white passengers and say, well, is it you that smell it, or is it just, we don't know the whole story, but it'll be great to get the whole story to see if anyone other than the black men were considered to be the cause of the odor, or right, the source of the odor.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this AP report does not give us any of that type of information.
It'll come out.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, in 2017, the NAACP did warn black travelers about flying on American Airlines, claiming that several African-American passengers had experienced discrimination from airline employees. At that time, American promised to make changes. It took about 9 months before the NAACP lifted their advisory. So that was back in 2017. That's 7 years ago now. It's good to see that we can go 7 years without a major incident like this. But
well, and the thing is, it's not a company policy, right? So it's not a slight on American Airlines, and unfortunately, American Airlines is going to have to pay the price for this in some kind of way, either in reputation or money or flyers. But the issue of this idea of racism and superiority of one race over another, and the doubting of someone's intelligence because of their color, or the social etiquettes of keeping up your body hygiene, is ridiculous. And that pervasive idea is still prevalent in the country. It's just, as they say, on the download. Yep. We got a secret wink and nod to let me know, or let you know that I'm with that group.
Yep. Here's my question. How do you know it was black body odor?
Yeah.
How do we know, right? Does body odor smell different on black men? Does body odor smell different for black women? Because I noticed they didn't take any black women off. So somewhere, somebody, and it sounds like it's this flight attendant, that smells like black man to me.
That's horrible. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, there's going to be a soundbite that I'll never be able to take back in my life. It's it up on me.
Yes.
So,
on a good note, the situation out in California, where the state of California is giving back 2,800 acres of land to the, I think it's to the Shiitake tribe, where they took the land. It was their sacred land. They took the land and put 4 dams and created a reservoir and flooded their sacred lands. They have now made a concession to give that land back to the tribe. Now, that's a great thing. I don't know how, I don't know what kind of disturbance has been caused over years of flooding and damming that area on the river there. I forget the name of the river, but that will be an interesting one to follow. To see what happens.
It's the Shasta Nation, and this is a chunk of land along the Klamath River. The efforts are being led by a non-native group, the Klamath River Renewal Corporation, and they've actually been working on the land to bring it back. There is a real growing movement for rewilding areas across the planet, not just here in the United States, but across the planet. And it all kind of starts back in the 1800s with the gold rush, and miners came in and, according to the Shasta people, and I would have to agree with this, stole their land, raped and pillaged their communities, and stole their land. Here, I think this is a great return. Excuse me. I'm sure I've been searching through this article that you shared with me and looking at others. I can't find how much this is costing, but that's okay. The state of California is picking up the cost on this. And I am finding a number here now, over 107 million in grants, and that's just in grants. So I'm sure there's other money that's going into this, but it's one of those stories of, we just can't, white guy in my land, get out, and we just trample the history and the culture wherever we go. And I get it. It's not just white folk. It is here in North America. In other places, other cultures stole land and colonized, and all the things that are happening. But this is a great story of renewal to bring this back. And it was a spiritual center for these people, for their ancestors before all this began. So congratulations to California, and I'm happy for the Shasta people.
Yeah, no doubt. And the governor there, Governor Newsom, he might be running for president. It'd be interesting to have him at the debate in 6 days, as the presidential debate kicks off next Tuesday. I can't wait to see what the dialogue is like and everything that goes on. I'm sure none of the issues like giving back land is going to come up. There's going to be a lot of name calling, from previous experience, but I hope that's not the case. So it'll be interesting. So congrats to Gavin Newsom for getting that through.
Yeah, good story. Maybe we'll feature that on the good news tonight.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Folks, we invite you to check back in with us later this evening. I do a program on Friday evenings called And Now the Good News, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. We take a half an hour and we look at the good news stories of the week and give you something to take into your weekend and talk about as you go through your weekend as well. All right, Z, what stories are we forgetting about? Oh, time to say a prayer for actor Donald Sutherland. It has not been seen, hasn't been active in a bit. And unfortunately in Hollywood these days, when a great actor retires and stops showing up, we tend to forget, and they get left to history, as it were. But unfortunately, Donald Sutherland made his transition yesterday at the age of 88. He was just the star of so many things: MASH, The Hunger Games, Clue, more. and so many different movies and appearances that I always loved Donald Sutherland. I thought he was fabulous. And our prayers go to him and his family and everyone that was touched by his life. May we warmly remember his great contribution to acting and to the arts and culture of the planet.
Yeah. And you know, he had some great movies, The Dirty Dozen. He was in the version of the movie of The Mask. And his latest movie, big screen, was he played a pivotal part in the Hunger Games. When they converted those books to Hunger Games, he played a key role in that. So hats off to him and his career and everything. And so you know, rest in peace.
Yeah. His son, Kiefer Sutherland, also an actor, said, "With a heavy heart, I tell you that my father has passed away. I personally think he was one of the most important actors in the history of film. Never daunted by a role, good, bad, or ugly. He loved what he did and did what he loved, and one can never ask for more than that. A life well lived." Beautiful tribute by his son. And hey, before we go, because we are already into overtime here today, and I don't want to forget this story. We talked about this back in 2020 when the first phenomenon happened. And you might remember, folks, back at that time, there was a strange silvery reflective monolith. Now, the very first one showed up in Utah, in a very remote section of the Utah Red Desert, a place that was very hard to get to. Shortly after that, similar sightings of a monolith arrived in Romania. There was one in Central California. And for a short time, one popped up on the Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. They all disappeared quite quickly and were there and then gone. Well, the Nevada State Police are reporting, it's the Las Vegas Metro Police Department have released photos of another one that's popped up in the desert outside of Las Vegas. No word yet on whether it's still there. This happened just a day or two ago. People are being reminded these are illegal installations as this is federal land, but I don't think anybody really cares about that. It would appear that either the aliens are back or there's a really good artist out there that's really good at installing things in the middle of the night when nobody can see them. But what do you think, Z? Is this pop art? All puns?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's too, I don't know. I don't think the aliens, if they came here to just pop up some art, I don't think that would be their preference to make themselves known. Because it's confusing and it's not a prominent statement. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the aliens coming. I saw something today where I forget how long ago it was. It was over in Australia, and they had a really good picture. It was in the 60s. They had a picture of what looked like a flying saucer. But the question is, you know, if we've never seen an alien ship, how do we keep coming up with these images of the alien ship and not know who or what the aliens are? And so that is an interesting scenario when we look at aliens and artifacts. And I'm definitely not ruling out that there is intelligent life on the planet other than us, but I'm definitely not going to say, hey, this is the only thing that we can use to identify that is a piece of art. So looks like my co-host had some power problems and has gotten bounced out as we move towards the close of the show. So hopefully he'll get back. I'll give him a couple minutes, see if he gets back in here. And if not, we will wish everyone a great day. Tune in to the good news, and see the show tonight on some of the good things that are happening in the world, something that'll motivate us, something that'll uplift us, and give us hope of what we can see in the movie. So I want to wish everybody a farewell. Please stay tuned. We got a full day of programming, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday. Have a great day. Peace and blessings.